the love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. Yeah, it's about the love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got the love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. You can't make a change unless you got some love. Change. Do it with some soul and a little love. Change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art is my art.
Yo. We are
Hello.
we are live, and it looks like I gotta change a little something. But yeah, we are live on New Year's Eve. SP, and this is April, Miss John Cena. You can't see me. There she
Not
is.
today. Not today.
Not today. Not today, but it's all good. It's all good. Sometimes we're not in a situation, but it's okay. We're both still here. We're breathing and we're living. We're leaving some things in the past. We're looking into the future, which the episode title,
Yep.
she literally came up with. I mean, she didn't just come up with it, but she just told me like 5 minutes ago. I love the title.
Tell us, for the ones that are just listening.
So,
Or is it going to be on?
it's gonna.
Never mind.
On there. But yeah,
Yeah.
what are you leaving behind in 2020? That's what this episode is about.
Boom.
Thank you for listening to episode 5, or watching if you're watching on YouTube. I'm just gonna get my notes here real quick. But wow, what a year! What a year!
In so many ways.
Yeah, in so many ways. This is a year that I really, really cannot wait until it's over. But
Yeah, I think most of the world probably feels that way too.
yeah, but there's I mean, even though there's COVID, millions of people that lost their jobs, all this negative stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of positives happened. Like, actually, I don't want to go into that yet, but everyone knows what the positives are. I think.
Well, I mean,
Not everybody.
I think we should come back to that though, for sure. I think that's a good discussion. Especially it goes with the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, speaking of New Year, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. I can't believe it's December 31st. So first thing I want to get into is, what our New Year resolutions are.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were having a discussion about what the show is going to be about, I was saying to April, you go first.
Oh, you told me I go first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
How about
okay.
you go first?
All right, I could do that. I may have to mute myself at some point, and if that happens, I apologize. But anyway, so my thing is, it's starting already. So I know a lot of people, the norm is to say, New Year's resolutions, or even like goals. And sometimes I feel like a lot of us will start with good intentions and then we just we fall off for whatever reason. And so the way that I have embraced looking at it is, what am I leaving behind? So what do I want less of in 2021? Obviously we all want to say COVID, totally understandable, but the invitation here is to look at your personal life, like April as a whole, like what have I seen that hasn't served me in 2020, or even, behind 2020, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so my thing is, what do we want less of? So I'm going to ask you real quick, SB, what's something, even just one thing, that you'd like to leave behind in 2020 and not take with you to 2021?
Well, negativity. I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of personal things in my life that I want to definitely leave behind. I don't want to put it on air, but
No, no, that's
but
okay. You could just
yeah,
use something,
yeah,
you know.
there's like many things I need to do for myself, as for others surrounding me, that I know that I have to change with myself, and I know overall I try to be the best person I could be, to everybody that I know, but I can't make everybody happy. But at the same time, there are
Right.
things that I can do to make myself a better person in people's eyes. Um, Not saying
But
I'm trying
even
to be
what
the best
about
person
for
in the
you?
world. What's that?
But even if you think about just for yourself,
What do you mean?
not even showing up necessarily better. All right, so here's an example. So
I'm picking your
something
brain too.
I might look at and say, yeah, I know that you're that's fine. So let's say I've worked on this, but I feel like I still have room for improvement. And so some of that, one thing I don't want to take with me in 2021 is self-doubt,
Yeah,
right? So I want to embrace more self-belief, but I'm just kind of saying like, okay, I'm leaving that self-doubt in 2020, like bye. So that's something that's like on a personal level. You get what I'm saying? Like for
yeah,
me to say, how do I show up as a better person, even for myself, and then to your point, for others, you know?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
one thing. Um, it could also be some
It,
people might say, like, I don't want to take with me my bad spending habits. Some people are, you know, may have made some bad choices around spending. Some people might say, I want to leave uh my credit card debt. You know, maybe it's not going to be paid off as you go into 2021, but you're not going to put more, right?
right,
Um,
right.
right, as you enter 2021. So those are some examples. I mean, the list can go on and on. It could be bad eating habits. It could be, um, if somebody's like a smoker and they want to quit, so I'm going to leave cigarettes behind.
Yeah, yeah,
Granted, that might be a little bit of a process as you get into 2021, but I think when you set the intention, that's what I'm big on is like I set this intention
yeah,
and I roll with it.
yeah. I think with
Yeah.
me, it's more like personal growth. Like
Oh,
there's
you
like
want to
with
leave it
me.
behind?
I mean, like uh, I was already working on certain things because I'm like I didn't
Yeah.
like I didn't like having my own boss. Let's say
Okay.
a lot of us don't feel that way. Um, I wanted
So you
to.
like you want to
I
leave
want,
corporate America
yeah,
behind or something?
yeah. That actually kind of thing about it. That's a big thing that I've been working on is leaving the corporate America behind. I want to be my own boss. I've technically been my own boss now, um, and looking into 2021, I want to be my own boss. I want to make sure that my business goal executions is growing, growing big. I want it to be a big year for
Hmm.
it, um, as
Yeah.
well as this podcast. This podcast, I want it to get a whole lot bigger than it is. Obviously, 5 episodes in,
Yeah.
but and of course, I want to see my son grow smart. He's going through kindergarten, and I'm his teacher, so I definitely want to see him grow. And I want to leave
Yeah.
behind the fact that he's home all the time right now for his school. Um, that was a
Right.
joke, y'all. That was a joke. Uh, that, I would love for those things to happen, and I'm big into helping people, and that's another thing I want to do a lot more of. Yes, I know I'm going more to my resolutions than I want to leave behind. Um, but those are just a lot of things
That's
that I'm,
fine.
yeah, that's like a lot of things I'm excited for and I'm looking forward to within this next year. Leave 2020 behind. There was a lot of sadness, a lot of scattering around, like what's going on this year. Like this year was was crazy. It was like a rabid dog just like let loose and just started attacking everybody. So, you know,
Hmm.
couple of
Yeah.
those things is
Yeah.
horrible, horrible. But it's all I'm just looking at moving forward and you know, uh, growth. I love the idea of
Yeah.
personal growth.
Yeah. No, and it's not that I'm like against the whole what do I want to do differently as I go into 2021, like that's awesome. I guess
Yeah,
I just want to add in, I guess for me, this is my thought process around it, is that um it's kind of like one of the tools we use in coaching. I'm just kind of shifting it very much towards like the New Year's, and I feel like I've asked
yeah,
myself how can we change the narrative around us always saying, yeah, New Year's resolutions. Everybody's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't come with that new year, new me crap, right? And so
I'm
how do
gonna
we
go to the
how do
gym.
we change that? And it's so right, right. So I guess for me it's like if we start with what do you want less of, then it's a segue into like, okay, now that I'm leaving that, what am I embracing? And so how I look at it is like I write it down basically, and sometimes we even do um they call it like almost like a, I don't know if it's be called a ceremony or whatever, but like you could even like take a piece of paper, write it down, like say, yeah, I'm leaving this behind. Some people burn it
Hmm.
safely, of course. Um, put it in a box or some, I don't know, but it's just a way to say like I'm releasing you. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like I'm
yeah,
letting that go. And so now that I've set forth the intention of letting it go, here's what I'm embracing. And that's where I think we can use all of the good examples you gave us, right? Like to say, yeah, so I want personal growth. I want to grow my business. So, like, for example, I might say, I want more, I want to leave behind self doubt. And by doing so, I'm going to have more personal growth, grow my business, yada, 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 expand. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Wow. Sometimes some of the coaching techniques that you
I know it's,
mentioned really makes me go like, "What? Yeah, you're right. You're right." And the reason is, I think
yeah.
the coaching school that you went through was more in depth than mine.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
I
think
mean, I
so.
think we can still learn from each other, right?
I learned
Because
a
we
lot
were
from you.
taught, I think, a little bit different styles. You're so
Yeah,
funny. I
yeah.
mean, I learned a lot from you too.
Well, that's why
That's what we're
we're
here to
friends.
do, though, as
Yep,
humans,
yep. Yeah.
And I
We,
think embracing it makes all the difference as opposed to seeing somebody as like a competition because they look at something in a different way. I feel like we should embrace that. That's a great thing to do for 2021. Embrace our differences and learn from one another, not look at it like it's a bad thing.
yeah. Which brings me
Bam.
to
Anybody can just take that.
yeah. Which brings me to this
And I
point
think
here.
it's your turn.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
my turn. Um, which brings me to this point right here is, um,
Yeah.
when people create goals, they say all these things. I mean, really good example. People that say that they're going to lose weight. That's one of the popular ones. People say they're going to lose weight. They're going to go to the gym, yada yada, starting January 1st or 2nd, because they sometimes make the first their last cheat day. Um, a lot of people start, and then when February, March comes, they don't stick to it. and
Yep.
and and for those of you that do that, what's the reason? What's the reason
Hmm.
that you don't proceed with that? Is there a legitimate reason, or are you making up an excuse? Uh, why? Why do you stop? What's stopping you?
Right.
What is not motivating you to keep going? I mean, for me, I don't make that goal because I know what my excuses are, and I gotta get over it. I do.
Hmm.
I have I have my
Yeah.
my excuses, and I've never made that goal official. It's like, okay, yeah, I want to lose weight, but that's all the time, you know. And
Right.
a person like me, I do let distractions happen. Timing,
Hmm.
I let time be an issue when I really shouldn't. There's 24 hours in a day, and there's some way I can figure it out, just like anyone else.
Right.
There's excuses. Um, Maybe not every day
Yep.
you can do it, but um, maybe every other day or once a week. there's there's seven
I
days
mean,
a
you got to
week.
start somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
And I think for me, and maybe most people, I think sometimes we set unrealistic expectations. Like if you know you haven't set foot in a gym for like a year or more, and then tell yourself, I'm gonna go every day.
yep,
No. Like you're trying to get to the top of the mountain already, and you're just like taking the first step. And so I think that's one for me that I
yeah,
had to learn, like, okay, you know, make smaller goals to achieve the final one, if that makes sense.
yeah, and
Hmm.
that's one of the things I've learned in coaching, and I've said this many times. Make realistic goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to think above and beyond and be like, I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire in a month, right?
Right.
There's a
Hmm.
difference between
Or I'm
that.
going to lose 20 pounds in a month. Like most of the time, that does not happen, and
Right.
it's not to say you're failing. It's just, it's kind of like the body. And I'm saying this because I just spoke to a personal trainer, like no lie,
Yeah.
to try to get like information or da da da. And he was explaining that inches go first. That's just the way it is. Like you'll notice that first, and the scale's usually the last thing to change.
Yeah.
And I think people want it the other way. I know I want it the other way.
Yeah.
um, but it's just being able to change your approach. I think that's what you were trying to get at too. It's like with realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to change the approach.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
there's a difference between trying to attract something to you and being realistic. Like, if you do say you want to be, because I'm talking to those that believe in law of attraction. Um,
Hmm.
if you do say you're going to be a multi-millionaire in a month, what you're doing is you're attracting it. Just because reach that, did you make more money or whatever by doing those practices than you did a month ago? If you
Right.
didn't, keep trying. But realistically, you're not going to really get there. I mean, the chances are really slim. I'm sorry to be negative on that one.
Unless you win the lotto.
Yeah, unless you win the lottery or you make a product that's going to work and just like fly off the shelves or something.
Boom.
But, you
Hmm.
got to work for it. It's all about working
Right.
towards the goal.
Yep.
Yeah. uh,
So what's your approach to New Year's and
my approach, honestly, is the same thing I've been doing. I mean, personally. Um, I don't know if that's what you were getting at, but my approach of things is just keep going. Everything that, let's say, for me personally, that I want to do, um, I'm going to continuously keep it in my mind. I'm going to have it written down somewhere. I'm going to keep my mind focused on specific targets that I want, and I'm not going to get upset when I don't reach these targets, because got to be realistic with myself, and I have to think about what's going on around my life. And I know I'll eventually get there, but you just got to keep working towards the goals. That's all it is. Like, I know what I want to do for goal executions, and I got a lot of good stuff coming for that. And I know that I know it's going to grow within this next year. You know, I've already put so much into it ever since September when I registered the business for the first time. And you know, I have the business up and running. I have group coaching classes coming up for next month that I'm pushing to do. So I'm working towards the clientele, and I'm not going to give up until I have some people on there that want to go on. And resolutions or goals, it's all about just keep going. Don't quit. Don't stop. Don't let anything depress you. It might take some days, some weeks for you to get somewhere, but you're going to get somewhere as long as you keep working towards it. I had another thought about that. I forgot what it was as I was talking to myself.
Oh, you forgot?
Yeah, I forgot because I was talking.
Oh, see, I didn't do it this time.
No, usually you do that to me.
Yeah, I know. My bad.
You're bad. You didn't do it this time.
I know, but for the other times.
That's another. That's what it is. I'm looking at my notes. Some people are just scared of failure. You agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree, and I have a twist to that though. That I've learned is that some of us are also scared to succeed, because it's almost like we tell ourselves the story of, well, then how is my life going to change once I reach that new level? Because people, some people are scared of change too. They want it, but then like this fear creeps in. And so when you think of like, oh, I'm going to be successful, and then people kind of get like froze, you know what I mean? They get like anxious or like, but then what? And it's like, you kind of, like, how do you say that? We're all human. We all have emotion. It's a natural thing, but there's ways to embrace it and still move through it.
Yeah. Yep. Adapting to change.
Right.
Yeah. People would either be scared to adapt to change, or they don't know how to adapt to change. I mean, look what we went through in 2020. Everybody in the world had to adapt to a change, whether you liked it or not.
Right. Some people took it better than others.
Right.
Right.
Everybody's
so.
different.
Like I said, we're not all a cookie cut. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes that's the mistake I see in society, is that it's like you think everybody can be approached the same way, and that's not the fact. It's you got to get to know somebody and understand, like, how do you view it? How do you see the world? How do you see this? How do you see that? And then it kind of gives you a map of like, okay, how do I move forward from this? Like the automatic negative thoughts. Not all of us have the same ones.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important too, like, to dissect that.
Yeah.
We call them ants in the coaching world, but
I've never heard of that before.
What?
Ants. Maybe I have. Maybe I have. Dissecting, of course.
Yeah, yes, but ANT, ants. So automatic negative thoughts. It's just kind of like an acronym, but we call it ANT. Not the little things that crawl around, no. And not that either, no.
That was like a dry dad joke just now.
It's all good.
She didn't even laugh. She was like, "Yeah, that was so corny." Okay.
Like, no, no, SB, it's not that, okay?
Nah. I think I hear
I might be
my
a little
son
off my game too.
a little bit off again. It's not a normal night. It's New Year's Eve, and our minds are somewhere else. I'm not even in my own home studio. I'm out in Connecticut right now. So
On the road. No, I'm just kidding.
on the road again. Oh, there I go, breaking into song.
Oh my God. Look, you did it. You did it. I
It's usually
thought
you.
it, but you did it.
Yeah, it's usually
That
you.
was great. That was awesome.
Eh, wow. Anyway, um, so back on track. You know,
Yeah.
so scared of failure. A lot of people are scared of failing. They see that something is not working, and then they just give up.
Right.
How many? I mean, that wouldn't you think that's very much like a typical thing that a person would do anyway? If something's not working, they'll just stop and say, "Oh, this ain't working," and then they just put it off and do something else. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. I've done that in the past, like it's almost like you get discouraged. It's not
Yep.
working the way I thought it should work. And I
Yep.
think that's another thing I've had to embrace is that although you have this picture in your mind of how it's supposed to look, it doesn't always look that way. But if I think you said this earlier, that you've at least made some shifts, maybe you just have to change the approach now, right? Like you kind of got to be flexible
Yep.
and say, okay, look, I'm not where I was. Granted, I'm not where I want to be or where I thought I would be at a specific point. But how do you keep yourself motivated to understand, like, well, look at how far you've come already, right?
Yep.
And so if you've taken 3 steps forward, why not just take another step and another step? So it's like kind of like reevaluate, um, and maybe change your approach, change directions.
Yeah. And
Do
that's
you agree with that one?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a better way to do things instead of just quitting because things aren't going the right way. Yeah, change your approach instead.
Right.
You might find a different path that works for you. Don't just completely stop what you're trying to do, what your goal is, and take that into the year 2021. I'm so used to saying 2020. Take that into
Right.
2021, and whatever goal you got, realistic goal. Keep those thoughts going. Like change your approach. And I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to get into some people's thick skulls right now because some people just don't listen. So that's me being realistic.
Yeah,
We, I,
it's true.
yeah,
I think we're all guilty of it. I can look back on my life and see a lot of times when I was like, oh, forget it.
yeah. I
You
was
know?
just saying. I was just gonna say, yeah, I've done that. But then,
Right.
yeah, I've learned to just keep going, go a different direction. Um,
Right.
I mean, uh, it's happened recently. Some recent things. It's like, well, I can't do this, but I'm not going to give up. There's another way to do this or go around this, and still get at
Hmm.
what I'm trying to do. For
Right.
example,
And for
register my
those of us,
business.
oh, go ahead.
Ha, yeah,
Yeah.
register my business.
That was a little bit of a challenge, huh?
Oh man, yeah. Um, it took longer than I wanted it to, but I got it done. I had to
Right.
I had to go through some loops. I had to make phone calls, extra phone calls, because it needed to get done. And I wasn't going to give up
Right.
on it because it's a passion of mine. And there are still some things that I'm waiting on, but I have no choice but to wait, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait so I could go on with the next step with what I got to do with it. I mean, Goal Executions is registered, by the way, everybody. I just wanted to, put that out there. But there's still other things that I'm waiting for, and I know it's going through. I'm more relaxed about it than I was. What was it, like October? I was freaking out. April? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it was around that time. I'm like, I wanna just like throw in the towel, but I'm not going to because I'm gonna make this happen.
Mhm.
People,
Yeah.
man, it's all about people.
Well, it is, but like I have a lot of different beliefs too. Like I've learned somebody said this, and when I heard it, I was like, whoa. Like I'm taking that. Like I'm embracing that. And what the saying is, don't be afraid to pivot.
Yeah.
So just because you made a change or you set out to do something and it didn't work again, right? Like how you thought it would, you sometimes you got to pivot, so change directions. But even some of us might start a career or take like a promotion at work and then come to find out you're like, damn, I really don't like this, and then we think we're failing if we say, hey, I'm going to look at a different role, or I'm going to go back to where I was because now I realize I really do enjoy it. This is not what I thought it was. Like, that's not failing, in my opinion, unless you label it as such, right? And so to be like, no, like, I'm not failing. I tried it out, right? Like, I took a test drive, a sample, and I didn't
A
like it.
sample.
It's not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
That's a
took
good
a
point.
sample.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do um, changing directions, what I'm trying to get at, changing directions isn't failure.
Right. Oh, you
So
stopped talking.
I think
Okay.
that should be, oh, my bad. I thought you were going to say something. It should be embraced. Um,
Yep.
One more thought I had to SB is I think Brene Brown has said this. I love her, by the way. Everybody should look into her.
Okay. I will.
She spits a lot of knowledge. But she said something about like, you know, when you set goals or when you say you want to do something in your life, like who are you really doing it for? So are you doing it for you, or are you doing it to appease or to show up in the world like everybody else is showing up in the world? So one of her examples was, yeah, I could have been like, I'm going to go to the gym every day and lose 30 pounds. She's like, but then I said, well, what would make me happier? Like
Right.
being healthier, but still eating my cheesecake, or stressing myself out to fit, an image that the rest of the world says is good, right? Like,
Right.
of course, we don't want people to be unhealthy. Health should be first, but are you doing something? Because what triggered that for me is when you said passionate. So if you do something you're passionate about, I feel like you're going to fight for it more
Yep.
than if you set out to do things just because other people are doing them.
By the way,
Hmm.
just in case y'all are trying to look for the name Brene Brown, because I was looking up Renee Brown and didn't realize, oh, it's
Oh no,
Brene Brown.
Nay.
Starts with a B.
Yeah, Nay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All
I didn't
good.
think about how it could sound wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to look that up, and American Professor I found. Well.
Yeah, she's done a lot of like case studies and different things, and like
Yeah.
research and all this stuff. And I just love some of the
Yeah.
things she talks about. Yeah.
Good person to look up.
Thank you for the clarification.
All good.
Hey, so now that I'm thinking about it, we promised everybody we would kind of swing back at some point in the episode about how did you say that earlier? Oh, like although 2020 we had a lot of unpleasant things happen, I think that kind of puts that all together. But there was also
Ah,
some things that happened that we can embrace.
yeah,
So I
yep.
want to let you open that back up.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, basically, uh, we've all, man, it was a hard year for all of us. Um,
Mhm.
Literally all of us, because we all had, the downs. There was a lot
Yeah.
of unemployed. A lot of people lost people, friends and
Yeah, a
family.
lot of loss.
A lot of loss,
Hmm.
including myself. I've had some friends and family, and it's been really tough. Um, and other things too, like people struggle financially. Um, with some
Hmm.
states, the unemployed is making a whole lot less than other states, which is completely unfair. Especially,
Hmm.
I've seen stories where someone is what used to make close to six figures, and now she's making under 200 a week
Right. And imagine
with kids.
like what her, oh God,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
imagine,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like,
Difficult.
yeah, it's like there's a lot of these struggles where, this year, I even even when it comes to like celebrity deaths, and I'm not
Mm.
too big into talking about deaths. I'm really not. But like when you look at like even that the celebrities that we've lost this year, it's like, wow. And I think it all
Hmm.
started with the loss of Kobe.
Oh God. Yeah,
Yeah, the
that
loss
was
of
big.
yeah, the loss of Kobe in January. I believe it was January. Uh, I don't have the exact date. I'm not, like I said, I'm not big in deaths, but um, when that happened, it's like, are you serious? Like, and then it just did not stop from there. It was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know, like, um,
Well,
yeah,
he's like, yeah. Well, I mean, it, for me, I think a lesson to be taken from that is to understand how precious, life is. Like some of
right,
us have lost people, like me, I've lost people since I was 10 years old and then
yeah,
up, friends, family members, both my parents. And so I think for a person like me, I learned very early on, like, wow, like your tomorrow is really not promised, but there's other
yeah,
people that have not had that same experience. And so they don't necessarily view the world that way, right?
yeah,
And then now I think because it's been such a large scale and we're seeing this like on the news, we're seeing it everywhere. I think that's an opportunity to see that as like, okay, this is something I could take away from the unpleasant experience, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I know it's hard for a lot
yeah,
of people to embrace that saying, and I was one of them, but I had to, like, am I going to drown in this, which I did for years, or am I going to understand, like, okay, how can I grow as a person because I've gone through this?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's a really good way to look at yourself when it comes to definitely like
It takes
personal
time.
growth. It does.
Yeah.
It does. It
It
does
takes
take
time.
time. It's another one of those things where I say, you can't really do that. You can't do that overnight.
Right.
But always remind yourself daily, multiple times a
Hmm.
day. Okay, maybe I should add on to that. Yeah.
Talk to me.
Okay. I'm like, is she still there? Well, okay,
I'm here.
but
I know it's odd not being able to see me, right?
yeah, the female John Cena of the week. No, I'm kidding. Um, yeah.
Oh my God.
So so yeah, remind yourself daily, throughout the day. Yeah, it's not gonna be overnight that you could do that for yourself, but eventually you can do it. You could make yourself stronger mentally. It takes a lot
Hmm.
of mental energy uh, to do that for yourself. And
Even emotional, mental and
yes,
emotional.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah. And once you got
Yep.
that down and you're on track, like with that, there's other things that you could change when it comes to your own goals and what you're looking into doing for yourself or others, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Got to be strong,
Yep.
strong minded. Yeah.
And like, I think, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I thought it when you were first saying, like, finding the good stuff, um, like the silver linings is what I call them. Like, how can I find the silver lining? How could I lean into gratitude? Gratitude's a big thing, I think, especially when you're believing like the secret and manifesting and, like the universal laws of attraction is that if we lean into embracing gratitude and instead of finding all the things that are wrong, how can we say these are all the things I'm grateful for? Some of them are very simple, but we think they're simple, but there's people that live without them,
Yeah.
you know? Like I have a roof over my head. I have heat. I have a bed. Some people don't even have that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
so I just feel like when you start there and you're grateful for what you have, it provides the ability to give you more,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it really does, and that's something really to put into what to bring into 2021.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes.
What
Yes, sir.
what are you
It is.
grateful for that you do have that others don't have when it comes to the technically and basically daily necessities? You know,
Hmm. Even some attributes about yourself, you know, um, to really look at. And I think for some of us, it's not as easy, especially if we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, or there's just a lot of stuff that's happened to us. But I'd say even like talk to a friend, or this is what we do as life coaches. Like we help people see what they can't.
yeah,
And so it's like you uncover that, and it's like for somebody to tell you, like I had somebody tell me one time, like, "Oh my God, you're so resilient." And I was like, I am. Like I literally was like, what? But when I leaned into that, I was like, yeah, I am. And so I embraced it. And then I was able to start like, okay, what else? What else am I good at? It could even say like, I have an awesome sense of humor. I'm super flexible. Like I'm super caring. Like whatever it is. But I think that's another thing to embrace going into 2021 is like even what you're grateful for within yourself
yeah.
and
And
then build on that
that
somehow.
reminds me of Thanksgiving. I was at my
Yep,
cousin's
that's
house for
true.
Thanksgiving, and we were well, they were asking for everybody to say what they're thankful for, and it
I
really
love
got
that.
everybody thinking about
Hmm.
what to say, like something legit that they wanted to say. And it's like, and I'm like, man, no one really asked me that on Thanksgiving. And obviously, the number one thing I'm thankful for is my son. He was like,
Oh,
what came out of my mouth?
yeah,
But yeah,
that's
definitely,
beautiful.
definitely him over everything else. But it gets you thinking about multiple things though. Like you may have one answer to say verbally, but you have multiple things that you're thinking about, and it's like, wow, didn't really think about that. Didn't really think that I had this many things that I could be thankful for, whether it's something big or small. And there's a lot of small
Right.
things that we could be thankful for and grateful that we're going into a new year with that others don't. Like there's, I'm pretty sure still thousands and thousands of homeless in Los Angeles, and I've seen them. It's rough.
Yeah. It's getting really bad here too in the Phoenix area.
Where? Word? Really?
Really, and yeah, really, really, really bad. Like there's certain streets near downtown Phoenix, well, probably like south downtown, but or South Phoenix, but like the whole street is like homeless tents.
Wow. It's
Like
getting
it's
bad.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. It's sad too, you know. Um, but I mean, like as soon as you said that, for me, I would be like, I would have been also grateful for being surrounded by family like that because I don't really have that, right? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, like you're so lucky. And sometimes even when people say that those kind of things, it makes you think like, oh damn, I didn't even think about that, you know?
True.
Um, I didn't think to even say I was grateful for it because I have it all the time. And so I
Yeah.
think sometimes, we take things
Yeah.
for granted, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. You guys should make that a tradition. Like every year, you should do that.
I think it was made into the
I'm gonna
tradition.
make it a
Um,
tradition
yeah.
in my house now.
Um, yeah. And and to bring up a point, you where you just mentioned about family, I kind of went through that when I lived in L.A. I didn't have my family out there, so uh every year that I was in California, for like a holiday like Thanksgiving, Christmas, I've gone through it. I didn't have family out there. I missed them.
Hmm.
My parents were on the East Coast, and my cousins and uncles, aunts, all of them, all on the East Coast, and I didn't see any of them. So
Right.
I felt that emptiness. Like, yeah, I was surrounded by a lot of friends in California, but it's not the same. Um, it really isn't the same. Where it's like, okay, I'm having a great time with my friends. Thankful that I had them though. Seriously, if it wasn't for
Right.
them,
Right.
it would have been it would have been horrible. I did have one bad holiday though, where I was by myself. Terrible. But the year I came back to New Jersey and was around my family for a major holiday, I felt so much better. At the same time, I'm like, wow, when did all these little kids come into the family, all going around me, crazy. But but at the same time, I was so thankful to see, being surrounded by my family, just my parents are being around, and uh my cousins, and being Puerto Rican, I have like a million cousins plus others that I haven't even met yet.
Right.
But yeah, you saying that just put that thought in my head of yeah, I know what it's like to not have family around. Um, if that
Well,
bothered
some of
me.
us don't have like loving family, and
Yeah,
so we've had to leave them behind at some point, and so like we don't
yeah,
have any family. And so it's like I know this is going to sound harsh, but I'm just very blunt most of the time. But I was like, a lot of people are saying, yeah, it sucks. I can't see anybody. I'm like home. It's just like me and my husband, and I'm like, well, that's like our life, like every year. Like,
yeah,
so it's COVID didn't change that for me. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it just makes you realize, like, damn, most people are able to like go get with family and have these, big get-togethers and stuff like that, and some of us don't have that, but despite that we can still find things to be grateful for.
yeah.
But I just think
Always.
it helps put it into perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And there's things that you're gonna go into the
But
year.
so you can empathize because you've had an experience, that said
Yep.
this is what my life would be like without having all that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. And even if there's things that you're gonna go into the year without that you want, doesn't mean it's something bad. Like if you're not in a position in life that you're at right now, if you're uh, if you're not, let's say, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. If you don't have something right now that you wanted as of December 31st, going into I almost said July, January 1st, don't sweat it. Just because you just because you don't have just because you don't have this thing that you've been working on at this point doesn't mean you're gonna be like that for the rest of the next year. Again, make that your goal. Keep working for it. Don't
Right.
give up.
Hmm.
And if you want to refer
Yeah.
back
And
to,
sometimes
eh,
what?
I was gonna say, if, you want to refer back to the rest of the, well, uh, what we were talking about in the episode, this whole episode, about not giving up and everything we mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, rewind, go back to everything that we said and let it
Exactly.
motivate you.
Yep. Keep moving forward.
Don't give up.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving
Keep it moving. Don't give
in a good
up.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, in a good way. But we got a couple minutes left here. Um,
Gotta wrap it up.
yeah. So what I pretty much want to do is, what do you think? Have like a closing little statement here, to leave everybody to leave everybody with, until we talk to them again in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Something motivational.
You want motivational.
I'll go first.
Hmm. Go
Basically,
ahead.
basically, it's what we've been saying. This is the last day of 2020. It's been a really rough year for everybody. Some people had a decent year. Some people had the worst year in their life. Um,
Mhm.
I can't even remember a worse year than this for myself. Um, so yeah, it's been a good year, but don't let it drag you down. Don't let tomorrow don't let it affect tomorrow. You're gonna start a whole new
Mhm.
year. Yes, coronavirus is still gonna be around, but guess what? We're getting better. Whether you believe in the vaccine or not, that's very political. I don't touch that. Um, there's something positive there that's being worked on for us to get better as the world, basically. Like I
Mhm.
said, whether you believe in the vaccine or not, that's something positive that's coming out of this. Um,
True.
and I just want everyone to have a great new year. Work towards your work towards your biggest goals of the year, and don't give up. Don't let that February 1st or March 1st issue just let you fail and make you stop and make you quit what you're trying to do with yourself, because guess what, you're not going to get anywhere if you're not trying.
Right.
Happy New Year.
Yep. So I have to go really fast now, but that's okay.
Sorry.
Uh, so for me, no, you're good. I think I would say something that it can stick with you is lean into an attitude of gratitude. Like
Yep.
focus on, what you're grateful for, number one. Number two, I think also focus on what you have the ability to control, right? So there are things that are out of our control. And so I think that's what makes us give up too sometimes. But what we can do is say, okay, like, well, where am I in the way? Like, what can I change about me? And so a lot of times is when things happen to you, the way you can control it is your reaction, or is my mindset holding me back from meeting this goal? So, you know, those would be my two things to share, to say I think that will help set the tone. And if you focus on that, I can promise you things will start to shift. Again, slower steps than probably what we want, but everything is not a quick fix, especially when it's, you know, personal development, you know, changing things like with our mindsets, even our emotions, that it takes time, you know, but it's achievable.
Yep.
So leave 2020 behind, embrace, you know, the attitude of gratitude going into 2021. And yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's about tomorrow. It's not about yesterday.
It's about tomorrow. Bam. You wrote that down yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
At least you remembered it.
Yeah, I definitely wrote it down.
Yes.
I had to read it
those
the other
kind of
way,
things
but
help me.
yeah.
Like, right? But like having like little sayings like that, I think they're like anchors for me, is what I call them. Like, so when I see myself going in a wrong direction, I could be like, okay, April, attitude of gratitude. It's about today. It's not about tomorrow. Like, just having those little sayings kind of help keep me grounded in what I'm trying to achieve.
Yep.
So yeah.
Got it. Nailed it. All right. So
awesome.
So next time you hear us or watch us, if you're watching us on YouTube, is January 7th, I believe, and we are going to work on having an episode every week after that. So
yes, weekly instead of bi-weekly.
Yes, because I really don't like doing this bi-weekly. But yeah, so we'll talk to you January 7th. Happy New Year. Yep.
And then really quick, as we wrap up again, if you have questions, want a topic to be covered, want to be a guest, if you are an unsigned artist and you want us to play your music or even be a guest and talk about your journey, email us at, I'm like, wait a minute, How You Living? Is it podcast?
Yeah.
I'm off my game today. Yeah, How You Living podcast at gmail.com.
Yes. How You Living podcast at gmail.com. You could also check us out on, I did put it on my website, goalexecutions.com. So you could also check that out or even search on YouTube. But
and we have an IG as well.
Yes.
Instagram. Mm-hmm.
I almost said the other thing. How You Living podcast. Just search us and you'll find us. Espee and April. So, all right. We will.
That's a wrap.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. And as she said, we haven't forgotten about the artists, about all you artists and guests that want to be on the show. We have not forgotten about you. We're just waiting until January to revamp some stuff. So we haven't forgotten. All right. So talk to you in 2 weeks.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a